Tragedy is a branch of literature that deals with the sorrowful events that befall a heroic figure. It typically refers to dramatic works. However, it can be expanded to include novels and film. Tragedy, as understood within the context of Western literary tradition, is the heritage of classical Greek tradition. It was pioneered by three famous Greek playwrights from Athens: Aeschylus, who lived between 525 and 456 BC, Sophocles, who lived between 496 and 406 BC, and Euripides, who lived between 480 and 406 BC. We see tragedies today as mere entertainment. Not so in ancient Athens. In ancient Athens, it was a solemn event. It was carried out as a public festival or ritual that provided catharsis and moral education for the whole community. These performances were just as religious as they were entertaining. It included priests attending to altars and altars to the gods, which were featured quite prominently. Tragedies typically focused on the misfortunes of legendary Greek heroes from myths and history. Lastly, to emphasize their communal ethos, they featured a chorus, which is a group of performers who provided commentary and context for the events of the play. In this article, we are going to examine the Greek tragedy Antigone, that is a play written by Sophocles. Now let's talk about the tragedy of Antigone. Antigone was written by the Greek playwright Sophocles. She is the daughter of the ill-fated Oedipus, the king who unknowingly killed his own father and married his mother, afternoon in which he blinds himself. Most of you would be familiar with the Oedipus complex, which was created by Freud. It was actually named after the unfortunate father of Antigone, Oedipus. The family curse doesn't end with Oedipus. It extends to his sons. Both of his sons, Eteocles and Polyphemus, end up dying in a battle over who should become the ruler of the city of Thebes. After they both die, their uncle, Priam, is appointed king. He deems Polysthenes a traitor and his brother Eteocles a hero. He also passes a decree making it illegal for Polysthenes to be granted proper burial rites on the threat of death. Antigone ignores his decree and chooses to bury her brother ceremonially as his corpse lies outside the walls of the city of Thebes, being desecrated. She does so by sprinkling dirt on her brother's corpse. After being found out, she is condemned and sentenced to be buried alive. Antigone asks his sister Ismene for help in burying her brother. She refuses, which earns her a swift rebuke from Antigone. Let's look at the conversation between the two in scene one of the play. Antigone says, I'm not going to force you, but even if you change your mind, I won't accept your help now. Do what you think is right. I will bury him. It's a beautiful thing to die in this act. With him I will rest, beloved with beloved, and I will be a God fearing criminal. I need to please the gods of death more than the men on earth, as I will rest below forever. But if you think it's best, go ahead and dishonor what the gods honor. Ismene, Ismene replies, I'm not dishonoring anyone, and even still, I'm just a woman. Only men get a say in how the city is run. You know that? Antigone replies, well, you can make that your excuse. I will bury my brother. Ismene is a perfect foil character to Antigone. She is a woman who knows her place in an ancient Greek social structure, where women were little more than the property of their fathers and husbands. Antigone is a hero exactly because she is not just willing to challenge the decree of Priam. She does so even as a woman when, as Ismene explains, only men get a say in how the city is run. In Antigone, we see two aspects of the fundamental elements of tragedy: the fatal flaw and human agency. The fatal flaw, as mentioned earlier, is a failing within the character that causes their downfall. In this case, Antigone's flaw is pride and her unwillingness to compromise. She doesn't refrain from judging her own sister for not being eager to join her on a suicide mission to defy their uncle Creon. In that regard, she is even similar to Creon. If Creon is a tyrant in the realm of public affairs, then Antigone is just as much a tyrant in the arena of private and family affairs. Antigone comes across as mean for this ugly treatment of her sister. Why doesn't Antigone explore other options besides openly defying a dictator? Antigone is engaged to Haman, a prince and son of Creon, whom he dotes on. Why doesn't she make an appeal to Creon through her fiancé? Why doesn't she appeal in private to Creon, who is her uncle, for some sort of compromise? Knowing Creon, these strategies may not have been wholly effective, but they all make more practical sense than openly defying the tyrant. It all goes back to a sense of pride and willingness to rely on her own resources without appealing to others. However, her pride and strong will has a loftier and more noble aspect. This nobler aspect is related to Antigone's agency. Antigone takes the hard decision to defy Creon and honor the gods of death by burying her brother. It is her own decision. She wasn't forced by the gods or some outside power to do so. It is her own personal sense of moral, religious, and familial obligation to her brother that drives her actions. In short, the tragic hero needs to have agency.